Today, friends, we're going to use Tinkercad, Pixlr, and Bambu Labs Studio to make a fantastic narwhal keychain. So let's get cracking. So real quickly, if you haven't seen my Maker Lab tutorial image to keychain, it did turn out really awesome. It was this one right here, but a user reached out saying, hey, I can't get this one to work. I tried to simplify the image, which looked pretty cool, but once it was brought into the slicer, it looked like this. Which leads me to the point that apps can be really slick, but sometimes it's just easier to create it by hand. Friends, let me show you some steps. For step one, friends, we are going to use Pixlr Express. I'm going to choose Open Image, and then here is the original. I'll bring it in and let me show you what the issue is. I'm going to choose Create New. So, several issues. There are a lot of details here. There are many colors, and check it out. This line doesn't finish. For this project to really work really well, you need the black line to flow all the way around so you've got an outside of your keychain. We're going to fix that super quick. Let me show you how. Of course, before we can make any adjustments, we need to unlock that layer. On my drawing tool, I'm going to switch to the brush. We do need to grab the color. I'm going to use the pick tool, and now we can click and I can paint that so it seals the area. So that makes it easier for the next step because it's actually one piece. Now let's get rid of some of these details. Friends, we're going to use another awesome tool called the Fill tool. I want to fill all of this gray with the same color. I want to get rid of those dots. Once again, color picker. This is the color I'm going to stick with. Click here to make it permanent. Fill tool selected. And now every time I click, it clears those all up. Now I had shut off contiguous, so it found all of them in one click. I'm going to undo that just so you can see how much effort that saved. If we go back to contiguous, I would click that one, and then this one, and then this one. So I'm getting rid of all of these highlights that may have made it cool, but it makes it tougher for a keychain. Now I can get rid of those in one step. I want to fix the blue of the shirt as well. Once again, pick tool, find the color I'm keeping, click somewhere to make it permanent. I'm going to stay with the contiguous again. Let's get rid of those, and it clears them all up in one click. I want to get rid of these little lines too. When I click, bingo, they're all filled in. You'll notice there are some real tiny ones here. I'm going to zoom in and we'll get those as well. It's that fast. I want this outside line to be gone. I'm going to do that by just making it a thick black line. Once again, I'm going to pick my color. I want it to be the black. Click somewhere else. And when I click on this outside edge, notice it grabbed everything. Control Z to undo. We can fix that by turning contiguous back on. Now when I click out here, bam, it goes all the way around and it gets them all. Just like that. The last feature I'm going to get rid of is the narwhal's little tusk. I'm going to simply switch to the gray that we used for everything else, and I'm going to clean that up as well. So now it's one color. That is the entire step in Pixlr. Now we can hit save. We do want a PNG. I'm going to put mine in my downloads folder, and I'm going to call it HLNW, and I'm going to put a 5 just because I've been playing with it all day. All right, so I'm going to give you a quick preview of how this works. We're going to use Pic SVG. We're going to upload that picture. There is my narwhal 5, and we're going to simply hit open. Now, real quickly, when it opens, look for little glitches. See these white spots? I don't really like them. Let's try edge 4. That one's solid, but it's got a glitch out here. That's a problem. Even edge 1 isn't perfect, so I'm going to check internal. And internal actually is nice and solid, so I'm going to download that SVG. I'm going to put it in my downloads folder. I'm going to call it NR5 for Narwhal 5. And this is going to be the base, and I'm going to save it. Friends, now it's time to move to Tinkercad. We are going to simply create a new 3D design. Let's name it. I'm going to call it Narwhal Keychain. I'm going to put a 5 after it. And we're going to move to the import tool, and we're going to choose that file we just created, Narwhal 5 base. We're going to hit import. We do want it to be the art, and then we need to make sure the measurement is what we want. I do not want a keychain that's almost 30 centimeters across. So I'm going to scale this. I'm going to type 30% and press enter. 80 is still a huge keychain, so I'm going to try 20%. Almost 6 centimeters I can work with, so I got to remember the number I'm going to use is 20 for my scale percent, and I'm going to choose import. After a moment, our keychain arrives, so here's where it gets kind of cool. I'm going to set this to gray, of course, because it's a narwhal. That seems like a good narwhal color. And then I'm going to switch the fill mode to silhouette. Bang! That is the back of your keychain. Now I want to put the next part on top, so I'm going to set the work plane right here. I'm going to do Control D and D to drop. And I'm going to go back to default. Just like that, we've got the details. I'm going to set those to black, and you really could be done with your keychain right now. Just use the Bambu Labs paint feature to make the shirt turn out a different color. I'm going to show you a way to make it just a little bit easier though. Check out these steps. I have returned to Pixlr X. Here is our project from yesterday, and I want to make this shirt a separate part. Here's how we're going to do it. We're simply going to go to the 3 dots, and we are going to duplicate the layer. Notice if we click on the bottom layer, it is locked. I'm going to leave it locked, but I'm also going to hide it. So that'll be the one we can always go back to. And this time I'm going to use the awesome cutout tool. Note I do need to click on the part that we can edit. That one is hidden. Now bingo, I can get rid of the black, the gray, the white, and I'm even going to get rid of the HL. Just like that, we have trimmed our design to the parts that we need. I can close that window and we can save that part for use. I'm going to keep those same measurements and just hit save as. And this is going to be called HLNW5 and shirt. Notice I only get 3 of these per day, so I've already actually burned 2. It just took me 2 days to make the tutorial. The next step, of course, is to upload the picture. There is my shirt 5. Once it loads, we can pick which one we want. Don't forget, as you check these, look for artifacts. That would cause a problem, so make sure you find one that works. And if your first time you used internal, it's pretty slick to stay with the same one because then all the measurements should line up perfectly. I'm going to hit download SVG. This time instead of NW5 base, it will be NW5. And let's throw in the word shirt. And it's time to return to Tinkercad. Now we can quickly select our import tool. When we choose import and we grab that shirt, once again art, and don't forget that scale, we used 20%, so now it's the right size and we can choose import. After a moment you've got your design. To add some cool texture, I'm going to make this a little bit taller than the other layer. Let's do 1.5 and press enter. Notice right now it is not on this top layer, so if I hit D for drop, it falls into place. We can use the arrow keys to nudge those in. If you want to get it exact, you can set it to 0.1 to find the spot where you think it looks best. Bang! You have got a keychain with multiple parts, so it'll be pretty easy to paint in the Bambu Labs Studio. Alright, so we've come this far. As you can see, I have returned to Pixlr. We're going to make these letters turn out fantastic as well. Same trick, we're going to click on this and we're going to duplicate it. I'm going to take this layer that we just made a moment ago and I'm going to hide it. Let's go to one of our duplicates and I'm going to make it visible. I do need to make sure I move it to the top layer. And notice this already has a cutout. So I'm going to reset the cutout on this one. And now I can cut it out again. Once again, I want to remove the black and the gray and the blue and the little white ones. Bingo. All right, so remember those little glitches we saw a moment ago? I can see little dots in here that are a bit of a problem. So we're going to use the retouch and the eraser tool. I'm going to make it really huge. No softness, and I'm just going to erase everything so there's no garbage on this design. Just trying to get it so it's more clean. I'm not clicking and dragging, I'm just clicking and cleaning. Notice if it does adjust, I'm going to do Control Z. And then also for bringing into that next part, I'm going to change the color of this from yellow. Let's go back to our paint tool. I'm going to fill, and I want to fill that with black. It just shows up a lot better. So now bing, set the black and fill, fill, fill. And then once again, we're going to save that to bring into our other project. I'm going to keep the PNG, and I'm going to save it as 5. Notice I tried the yellow and it wasn't as cool. So I'm just going to replace that design, hit yes, and I have burned all 3 of my saves. Of course, back to Pic SVG, import, open. After a minute, it shows me my HL. That looks fantastic actually with edge. I'm going to switch to internal one just so we stay consistent with the size. And I'm going to download the SVG. Change the name to letters, save. Switch to Tinkercad, choose import, choose file. Grab the letters and import. Once again, art, and don't forget that magic 20%. Press enter, and bingo, we've got letters. There they are. I do want them up on top, so I'm going to click on them and do D to drop. I'm going to use the arrow keys to move them into place. Shift nudge makes it a little quicker. And once I am happy, let's get a height that's going to be pretty groovy. I'm going to make them 1 millimeter taller, so let's see what happens if I do 2. That is going to be pretty awesome. Notice they don't fit quite perfect. Watch this trick. I'm going to do Control D. I'm going to make a second one that is outer line. Now at first it's going to be 5, so it's huge. But I'm going to change that to 0.2 and press enter. I'm going to make it round. And I'm going to bump up the quality. And bingo, now it fits just like we want. I can just shift select both of those and nudge them over till it's perfect. I'm going to take those 2. I'm going to group them. Just like that, we're ready to export. I'm going to start with the gray base. Export. I only want the selected shape. STL. I store them in my 3D modeling folder. Notice I've got this one with the word temp with a space. Because of that space, I can double click, change the word to base, once again add a space, and press enter. It makes it faster. Now I do want to share with you something I just messed up. I forgot the keychain hole. Normally we bring out a hole, I shift squeeze. I'm going to set that to size 5 by clicking and changing. The shift squeeze makes that work. And then we could shift select those 2, do Control G to group so the hole was in it. We're actually going to do that same step though in Bambu Labs Studio. So it's kind of like 2 tutorials in 1. Let's grab the next piece called the outline. Export STL, still the selected shape with the word base and a space. I'm going to call it outline with a space. Hit save. Switch to the shirt. Export. Selected shape STL. And those same steps for that and the letters. And press enter. Next step is Bambu Labs Studio. Here's where it gets really cool. We're going to hit the plus sign and we're going to add all of those pieces we have. The base, the outside, the shirt, and the letters. Simply select them all and hit open. It'll say, do you want a single object, multiple parts? And yes, we do. Now that looks absolutely spiffy. If we switch to objects, we can now paint it. I'm going to take the base of mine and I want it to be gray. I want the outline to be black. I'm going to make my shirt blue and I'm going to make the letters green. Of course, friends, if you want to paint individual features, note if you have a single piece like this, paint's real good, but because of this connection right here, it fills it all, which is a problem. You can do Control Z, of course, and you could do this by hand. Just make sure you zoom in super close. Notice if you do get outside, it will paint that. You can do Control Z to fix it. Notice you can mess around and be as perfect as you want, trying to get that all filled in. Dragging across the shape is pretty effective as well. Just remember, if you ever make a mistake, you can do Control Z. And I'm going to call that good. Friends, don't forget we got to add that hole. I'm going to right click on this and we're going to add a negative part. I want it to be a cylinder. I already switched to object mode. so I can edit it. I'm going to tell it OK. Now let's get this to the right size. I'm going to scale it. It's got uniform on. I like to use a size 5 for my keychain. And then we can move it into location. Note I want Z to be 0. So I'm going to press enter. That helps me line it up to right where I want it. Just like that. Since it is a negative part, now when we hit slice plate, bingo, we have got a hole in our keychain. How cool is that? Absolutely love Bambu Studio and the painting. If we go back to our Prepare tab and Global, I'm going to use 0.2 standard. Everything else is so simple, we can just simply click Print Plate and send it to the 3D printer. It takes a moment for it to download, but once it does, we can hit play and check everything out from wherever we are. And after a little more than 40 minutes, bam, check out that keychain. Awesome details, eyes turned out good, and there is that cutout tail. How cool is that? I had a user reach out saying, hey, I want to print it face down with all the colors so it comes out smooth. Of course, I've got steps for that too, so let's keep cracking. Once again, if you missed the original tutorial, you'll be able to find it in the cards or the description of this video. I'm going to show you a couple things I'm modifying. Notice I used the outline technique to make these letters a little wider. That way they fit perfect because there are little gaps in my originals. I'm going to instead cut it out with this one. So real quickly, I am just going to do Control D. I'll move this over and hit D to drop so you can see the process in a separate spot. I'm going to make it a hole. This is a brute force skill, but we can do it pretty fast. Bring in a cube. I'm going to change my nudge to 0.1. That makes it easier to move it to where we want. And we're simply going to get it so that it fits inside that shape so that it can be cut off. There, I've got the thickness right. If we look up above, that is all good, but there's a little nub out here. We're going to get that with a cylinder. When I bring the cylinder out, I do want the sides to be smooth. I'm going to just squeeze it down nice and small quickly. Get it into that space. We are going to match the height. So I want this to be a height of 1. And I'm going to click on this one and also zoom out and make the height 1. F to fit view. Orbit, so we've got a little bit different view. You can see that is totally going to be cut. There is a little bit of this one that was not. We can move that up just like that. Friends, when we select these 3 shapes and do Control G to group, we've all of a sudden got the perfect letters to fit in this spot. Alright, so to send this to Bambu Labs, I found that we still need 4 separate pieces, and then we just need to get our heights the same. So I'm going to take the entire keychain. Notice right now I've got the gray, and I'm going to give it a height of 2. That's going to be how thick the keychain is. Now, if we send it with these 2 pieces coinciding, it was giving me issues. So all we're going to do is take this black one, and we're going to do Control D, and we're going to make it a hole. Now, when we shift select our gray one and do Control G, it cuts out that edge. Now, if we hide the black one, you'll notice this almost worked perfect, but it did leave a little edge around it. I am going to choose to get rid of that with brute force. It goes reasonably quick. I'm going to put the work plane right on this flat edge. So I am just going to bring out a cylinder. I'm going to shift squeeze it to make it quite small. Let's go something like 1 millimeter, and then I'm going to make it oblong. Now I can bring this over to the spot where I want to put it, and I can just rotate it till it covers exactly that spot. It's that easy. It is brute force though. Once again, Control D, drag it where I want it. Let's do F to fit view, look at it from above, and we can simply rotate it into place. Once again, we don't want to cut out other spots, so we just push it to where it's going to only cut what we want. Control D, rotate, done. I'm going to go back to this one, Control D, because otherwise it memorizes the steps. Control Z if you make a mistake. Rotate. That one's done. Control D. Rotate. If you make a mistake, just do Control Z and continue that skill all the way around. One last double check to make sure we've got all of them. I think that looks good. We're going to hide this one. We're going to cut out this HL because we don't want it. I'm going to set that on that same spot. Squeeze and adjust until it's all inside there. Select it all and let's do Control G to group it. Bingo, they are all trimmed. You'll see there are little marks on the edge, but we will not see that at all because it will be under those black parts. So that gives us 2 shapes completed. Notice if we hide this, we still have the shirt that we need to cut out because those are duplicated. So once again, I'm going to simply do Control D. I'm going to hide the blue one. I'm going to make the next one a hole, and now I'm going to shift select those 2 pieces and do Control G. So the black one is cut out pretty well, but we do need to get rid of these little pieces in the middle. We're going to do this with a cylinder. Once again, I set the cylinder down, use the black handles to squish it, and we'll do Control D and make one more tiny one to get this little corner here. I'm going to give it more sides so I can be a little more precise. Then simply just drag that part into place. Shift click to get 2 shapes, shift click to get the third, Control G to group. At that point, friends, we can do show all, and we've now got the same height for these 2. We just need to adjust this one to the same height. I'm going to set that to 1 millimeter thick. You can see that lines up perfect. Let's bring this one over, D to drop. We need to make it 1 millimeter thick as well. And then simply nudge it into place. Put it on the bottom, and friends, that is our flat 3D printable keychain. Let's get it ready to send to the printer. First, I'm clicking the gray one, Export, STL. I'm going to call this Narwhal 9 base. Yes, I have printed it about that many times. Now let's click the outline, repeat the steps, Export, STL. And instead of base, I can double click because I had that space there. And I'm going to do out for the outline. Let's click on the shirt, Export, STL, change the name to shirt. If you add that space, it lets you double click. And then finally, Export, STL, double click, change it to letters, add the space just because it's easier later, and bingo, parts are ready for Bambu Labs Studio. All right, friends, so in Bambu Labs Studio, we're going to start a brand new project. I'm going to discard my modified values, and let's grab our parts. Once again, I store mine all in my 3D modeling folder. Here are all of the Narwhal 9. I can just hit open, and I do want single object, multiple parts. I did just modify my colors, so I'm going to go to device mode. This one that says it's the Bambu PLA white is now a Bambu PLA orange. I'm going to hit close on that, and notice it did update. I am using a generic PLA out here. Let's return to our prepare screen, switch to object mode. All right, I want to get those colors right, so let's sync them. Now, right now, it shows that one is being all orange. We're going to split these up. I'm going to make the letters of the shirt orange. I do want the shirt to be blue. Click blue. I'm going to make the outline green, and we're going to make the base of the narwhal gray. Now, the user wanted this to be smooth. One cool way is to go back to global. So we've got the whole thing selected, and let's just rotate it so we're printing it face down. I'm going to bring this to 180 degrees, and then after printing, it would have the texture of the build plate, which is pretty epic. Today, though, I'm going to test ironing, so let's do Control Z and bring it back. Under Global and Quality, we can simply enable ironing. This is going to slow the print down quite a bit, but it's going to look pretty cool. I'm going to switch to Top Surfaces, and then I'm just going to stay with the default steps. And bingo, we're all set. Let's hit Slice All. Slice was fine. And check it out, we'll have a sweet new keychain in about an hour. Let's hit Print Plate. double check the colors, and send it to the 3D printer. It takes a moment to download. Of course, once it completes, you can hit play, and we can monitor the process from afar. And after about an hour, we have got an awesome ironed keychain. How cool is that? Friends, as I wrap up, I want to say thanks again to Kelly for the question. It absolutely makes my day when I'm able to help other users. Finally, friends, I also want to say thanks to everyone that's supporting me on Patreon. Absolutely loving as that community is getting larger. Also, friends, don't forget every time you click that like button, share button, or add a comment down below, it's helping HLModTech get just a little bit bigger. Finally, friends, have a glorious day and keep tinkering. I also want to remind you about my website, HLModTech.com. I've got a page dedicated to Tinkercad with tons of amazing categories. Below that, you'll find the day one favorites, the useful starters, and the Tinkercad essentials. If you scroll down just a little bit further, you will find my course, Tinkercad in 20 Days. It is hosted on cadclass.org. If you check out this video right here, it tells you all about it. I do also want to highlight there is a sweet coupon code 25HL Tinkercad. It'll get you 25% off any of the amazing courses at cadclass.org. You can visit the site by clicking this link right here. I do also want to highlight the sweet built-in messaging tool. Friends, you can click that button, add your question, comment, or suggestion, and reach me almost instantly. Finally, friends, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Please also hit that share button so more people can learn about HLModTech. Of course, friends, you absolutely make my day if you take time to leave a comment down below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Smash that subscribe button, and last but not least, hit that notification bell if you want to be the first to know when there's a brand new video from me, HLModTech. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.